Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, good.
Awesome. Okay. So, I hope I did it right. Because I don't want to get because I know Skype does phone calls, so I don't think this is just obviously a computer call because your phone's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do audio with multiple people. You just can't do video with multiple people.
Yeah.
All right. So as sure. Okay. So yeah, Claw is approaching you, Marcus, and as you're swinging your sword, he kind of he raises his right hand a bit. It's done.
I turn my body towards to his direction as I'm swinging another swing, like I need to let it go a full swing before I can stop it. Like I can't stop it in its tracks, just and I'll just look at him and I'll say, "Good work."
We'll take the wagon up a ways. Probably be gone for a majority of the day. It's quite a hole to dig.
Dig it deep so wild beasts won't dig it up.
He nods towards you. Do you want anyone else to know? Any extra hands to dig this hole, or is it just me and Toothy?
I'd rather you take camping equipment and prepare to take care of this project by the two of you. Even if it takes you a long while, your duties here can wait that time. Even if you have to camp there and come back tomorrow, I'll leave it to you two and no one else.
The only survivor, the man you wanted us to spare, the one in the trout mask, we removed him from the scene. He's got no idea what happened. He's off on his own, isolated. I suppose that's what you wanted anyway.
Yes. What about his condition? Will he be able to carry his own weight soon enough?
He's been fed. I'd say if he was released at any moment, his adrenaline would take him as far as it needs to go. That guy is determined.
Keep him one day. I won't release him until you return from your digging duties.
Very well, Lord Marcus. I suppose we'll head off.
You do that.
He gives you a firm nod and he turns, goes right back the way that he came, kind of disappearing off as these wide double doors open and close behind him. And as you're in this arena, finishing up your duties, eventually a servant would find you, kind of like you hear your name being called kind of from the stand as one of your household servants cries, Lord Marcus, your breakfast, your meal, my lord, it's prepared.
Fine.
Do you wish for it to be brought to you?
No, I will be there soon enough.
Yes, my lord. And the servant kind of scurries off.
Yeah, I'll finish up my training, but I'll just immediately after that I won't even swing the sword anymore. I'll go and put it back to its rack, and I'll just kind of throw my arms around and stretch my shoulders and that sort of stuff, and then I go to wash myself off if there's like a river or some place where it's common to go, bathing in the wild, so that I don't like unless it's like a distance away, like.
No. There's plenty of water relatively close by. So as you're headed out into the water, to wash up, I'm imagining you're going towards like a shoreline to kind of squat down and get a handful of water. As you're along the shoreline, the house.
I'm not like going to just drink. I'm gonna go clean myself up, all like bathe.
Perfect. So you're stepping into the water, I'm imagining, kind of like down to your waist.
Yeah, sure.
And as you're kind of bringing water up on you, your this great lodge that is your house, this great hall, is in the distance, and your port is just off to your right, and you're like off to your left is just like a vast stretch of your territory, your coastline, which would usually have, your ships kind of, if not anchored, kind of at least visible to you, but now it's completely kind of vacant and empty. But something catches your eye as your face is completely wet and your hair is wet and damp. It's like a moment where you pick up water into both your hands and splash it on your face, and as your vision goes from like the distortion of water to clear, as your like fingertips rub at your eyes, at that distant coastline, you think you see something. You pick up like a flash of color, something that is clearly not natural to the coast, and something that is just within a crook that would make it difficult or impossible to see from the port.
Do I make a roll of awareness or something?
Yeah, you can make an awareness roll if you want to figure out what it is from your vantage, or you can get closer.
I don't think I'll get that much closer. I mean, I still have all my clothes and such on, my close proximity and that sort of stuff. But I'm gonna squint my eyes and try to have as good a look as I can from my vantage point.
Okay.
And I got 7.
You know that it looks like a person laying on the side, on like just as where the water is going off into the beach, into the shore. It looks like a person. He's like half submerged in the water. Just laying.
But you said it looks like something that stands out. Like it doesn't just look somebody who's bathing there or swimming there.
No, it stands out because there's color to the shirt this person is wearing. So it's clearly someone laying half in the water, half on the shore.
Laying like, does he look like he's washed ashore or something?
Yes, yeah, you could say that. Yeah,
it
looks
okay.
like he's been washed ashore.
In that case, I'll just quickly splash water on my face and armpits and that sort of stuff, and I'll just then go and grab my clothes and get dressed while keeping my eye on the guy. And as soon as I've gotten dressed, I'll head there on a steady pace.
Okay, as you're getting dressed and as you're making your way towards this figure, you see no movement from it. For a brief second, when you get really where you can start to make out detail, that's when you start to see movement. But it's only because the water is coming ashore. It's kind of moving like this guy's arm just a little. But as you get close, you get this semblance of familiarity to what you see, and you can't quite see the face yet because you see like the back of this person's head. You see like a lock of thick locks of black hair, and as you're standing over this body, kind of like leaning in to see exactly what it is, That's when you see that this is Timothy, the sailor that took you guys here. He looks like he's laying with a severe cut to his neck.
Like his neck's been slashed?
It looks like his neck has been. What do you have? What is that? Medicine? You could make a medicine roll if you want to get a good idea of how it happened.
My healing is 2.
Okay. Well, you can make a healing check. Why don't you?
Okay.
Or a knowledge check, whichever one you'd prefer.
Well, I already rolled my healing. Well, my knowledge wouldn't have been that much better. But, yeah, I got only 4.
4? Okay. It looks like it might be a cut to you around the neck. It looks though you've seen sword cuts and things like that. You're not quite sure if this was a sword cut. It could have.
But it's still like a cut. It's not like his neck is like 1/5 open, you know.
No, it's not 1/5. It looks like this guy probably maybe bled to death, maybe choked to death. It's not like he's
but he's clearly dead.
Yeah, it looks like the guy is dead.
I'll grab his collar from behind his head and from under his chin, like from his chest and from his neck, from the collar, and I'll just yank him up, like pull him up with my Terminator strength, and I'll just pull him up, and I'll look around if I see anybody around.
You see absolutely no one around you. In the background, you do hear like sounds natural sounds that would come from the docks, but they're so muffled because it's such a distance. So it's not like it's all you hear is nature. You do hear, your people in the distance, but where you're standing now, it's such a. It almost looks like a sweet position for this guy to be, because all around you, while you hear sounds, you don't see anybody. It's just inside this crook that would avoid any sort of contact with anyone on the dock. And because the ships are all gone, perhaps you might wonder how this guy got here.
Well, even though my healing is quite poor and my roll was quite poor,
Yes.
Can I still tell from his color if he's been floating in the water for a long time, or does he look like he's just been dumped here?
From how you picked him up, you've picked up people that you've slayed before. You've you've stared into the eyes of someone that's dying, and you know how their body usually behaves. It's almost like a rag doll. Their arms would flail outward, down, and the legs would kind of be clinging together. The way this guy's body reacting as you lift him, there is this brief, almost like a little leg to his arms moving downwards. You know that if a body has been exposed for a certain amount of time, the joints start to stiffen. But just from that, you know that this guy didn't die within the last 2 hours or so. As you're glancing about, you don't see any weapon that might have been used. As far as self-inflicted wounds go, there are better ways to off yourself than to go for the neck.
Yeah. Well, I'll just have a look around, and then I'll lift him on my shoulder like a bag of potatoes, and I'll start to walk towards more closer to the docks where I would find dock workers and that sort of stuff.
So you do see dock workers. You do see one of the guards. The guard.
As I see them, I'll lift my free hand up and I'll just wiggle my fingers in the way that I'm like pointing him to come to me.
He approaches with speed. His face kind of squished a bit as he's like trying to figure out what's going on.
And I'll carefully slam Tim's corpse on the ground in front of me. Like I'll let him slide off like onto the ground, and I'll just say, "It's Timothy's corpse. It was washed up on the shore there."
He looks at the man and he looks over at you. Is this man one of ours, my lord? I've never.
He's the one who sailed us from the mainland back to Bear Island on his fishing boat. Now he's dead.
That's unfortunate. He kind of leans down to take a look at the guy. Looks like someone got him in the neck.
Looks that way. Why don't you go and tell Tasseld, whatever that's supposed to be pronounced. Why don't you go and tell Tasseld about it and have him inspect the body?
Very well, my lord.
Tell him that I sent you.
Hate it when these things happen. At least 4 times a year. He looks the body over and then glances back towards that purple-sailed ship. What's to be done about the man's vessel? Dry dock it?
Sure. Do it.
He gives you a firm nod, and he kind of gestures out to one of the dock hands, and they start getting to work on the ship as this body, while it's not being left alone, there's other people that kind of like gather to help out. So it looks like the situation is being handled as Tasseld is being called for.
And at that time I'll go to have breakfast.
Perfect. So as Brander is being brought into the chamber to have breakfast, it's pretty much really close to the entrance of the hall, because the first room in the hall is this like wide kind of chamber with with a pit that would have fire burning, and a good you guys would have probably spent cold days as a family around this central hearth, but since it's summer now, this wide chamber, the fire is only lit at night, and usually mostly for special occasions and whatnot. But this morning you guys are having breakfast in that large kind of chamber close to the seat where your father would usually sit and hold his court and listen to the troubles of his people, which usually involves bad trade agreements or accusations of one person looking at another man's wife incorrectly and things like that. Disputes that he would usually handle through fees or just choosing a side. Your father is usually quite just, but also quite harsh on those that displease him. So this vacant chair kind of looms over you guys as you're having, breakfast in almost in its shadow. But Brander, as you're there with Marianne, you don't see any of your other siblings. Edgam, you don't see, but you do see Nathan. And as you're there, he looks like he's moving like pieces around a board of Savas. He's, it's almost like he's playing against himself. He moves one piece, kind of studies the board a bit, and with his other hand moves an opposite piece from the other side. And his food is getting cold, but your sister Marianne, she's munching away, and she's smiling up at you as your meal has been presented before you. It's a combination of carrots, bread, and this interesting sauce that the cooks claim is duck sauce. There's a little bit of meat off to the side.
I'm gonna point over at the board and say, "You moved your elephants too early."
He smiles, and as he looks at you, he glances back to the board and says, "Misdirection, brother."
Perhaps after breakfast we shall play and see who's the better.
I didn't know that you partake in these games.
I don't play all that often, but I could try to learn from you. It seems like you might know a thing or two.
It would always be good to have another perspective in the mix. I have to say that our other siblings aren't as keen on mental strategy, and he kind of turns the board a bit to kind of have the opposing side face you, and his thin-lipped smile widens a bit.
Well, perhaps let's make this interesting. I'll play from where you are now.
Let's do it, brother, then.
So I'll sort of throw my leg up over the seat and sit down. I'll slide my breakfast over to me, eating with my left hand as I have my right hand free to play.
Your little sister Marianne kind of reaches out for your dragon piece and like kind of lifts it from the board, and you can see that Nathan is kind of like has this like kind of look on his face.
In place of the dragon, I'll put some sort of cutlery or something small from the table in its place. That's the dragon.
Your brother gives you a nod, and then he says, "Well, it's my move, so," and he extends his hand towards one of his pieces, and let's say that this is going to be a contested warfare roll.
Oh boy.
That means I'm quite good at that game.
It does. You actually, I'll let you substitute knowledge if you want to play depends what kind of game you want to play. He's going to play an aggressive game, so he's going to use warfare. You can play if you play a defensive game, or if you play like a wide strategy game, you can use knowledge.
I think defensive game actually sounds pretty good, so I'll just roll knowledge. It's fine. Okay. I got an 11, not all that great.
Okay. Your brother, as you're playing your game with him, after he takes a few moves and you take a few moves, there's like a moment where he's kind of looking at your eyes as his hand is hovering over his dragon piece, and he kind of like tilts it to the side and he's looking at you, and then you can see that he moves his dragon in a very unusual spot that kind of forces you to, you see the dragon, it looks vulnerable. You get this moment where you kind of move one of your pieces against it, and then immediately as your hand kind of lifts off the piece, he like quickly, as if this game was timed or something, reaches out for one of his soldier pieces and nudges it into that crevice that the piece you just moved came from, and you realize that he's surrounded your vulnerable piece, and he looks over at you, still kind of no, he's not holding a smile anymore. He's holding this like thin-lipped neutral face that's perhaps shows his intensity, his love for the game of strategy, as he says to you, "I'll let you surrender, unless you want me to take your king piece."
I'll just knock the king over, and I'll sort of like punch him in the shoulder in a friendly manner.
He smiles as you nudge your king over, and kind of rubs his shoulder briefly, and you see that he's like a little giddy at the fact that he won, but like he's making these like weird like sounds, like he someone that's extroverted would like laugh, but since he's introverted, he's not trying to make sounds. So sometimes you'd hear like a as he's like setting up the board again, and it's like his food is getting cold, and that's when you hear your older brother. It's when you hear Marcus stepping in, and your younger sister Marianne says, "Marcus!" And her arms widen. She's still seated. And Marcus, as you get closer, you see that she's holding like a dragon in her hand.
Yeah, I'm regularly like walking into the room with this in this power walk. Like I always try to keep this presence about me. Always like stone face and power walking everywhere. And as I go closer to her, I'll give her a little smile, and I'll let her wrap her arms around me, and I'll pat her on the head, and I'll look over where my breakfast is placed.
It's positioned right beside where Brander is seated.
I'll go to sit beside Brander there.
And
I'll give him a look. Nothing specific. I'll just look at him as I go. Again, like stone faced, going to sit on my bench on the bench there.
Do you need something, brother?
No. Fisherman's dead. I say in a low tone enough that the kids won't like pick up on it.
Fisherman?
Timothy.
The one we
guy
killed.
who brought us here.
Oh, that's terrible.
Washed up on shore.
Did anyone see anything? What happened to him?
Don't know if anybody saw anything. I just gave him up to a guard and told him to go get Tassiled.
The maester should be able to figure out what happened.
Yeah.
Little sister, the dragon. I'll hold my hand out.
You see that she's like, her hand and the dragon were like in the air, so she's like pretending the dragon's flying around. But as soon as you pulled your hand out, she kind of does this like brief pout and puts the dragon in your hand.
Dragon?
And I toss her an elephant instead.
Okay. As you say, dragon. You see Nathan looks up from the board and he says, "Savas, the game of strategy."
I see.
I got it as a gift from Simeon.
Keeping your mind sharp, are we?
Yes, indeed, brother.
That's good.
Marcus, I think you would do well at this game. You have a head for warfare.
I know I do.
Would you like to play? Let me tell you what these pieces do. This one here is the dragon, and it moves like this. And he basically he's describing you all the pieces and all their movements.
I'm like kind of not listening to the most of it. I'm turning to eat my breakfast at the same time while he's babbling on.
Yeah. And as he's babbling on, you notice that your breakfast is much hotter than everyone else's because you just got here later than everyone else, so it was they kept it heated for you. And Nathan's meal is cold. He's the skinniest of your brothers, the most feminine in physique, I guess you could say, all cerebral. But as he seems to be transfixed in this game and explaining to you the rules, you're left basically to your meal, as Marianne has already finished hers, and she's just kind of sitting there, kicking her feet out, watching the two of you. Still quite excited that you guys are back, since you guys have been gone for like a month.
I think at this point, probably done eating breakfast, I'm gonna walk around the table sort of nonchalantly, just, listening to Nathan explain the pieces to Marcus. And then I'm gonna grab him around the stomach and then put him on my shoulders and, kind of hold his arms up in the air and sort of march him around the whole breakfast area.
Are you gonna do that to Nathan?
Yeah, just sort of put him on my shoulders like, he's the champion, hold his hands up in the air, and I'll be sort of like giggling and walking around the table.
I'm rolling my eyes.
You'd see that Nathan is a little, he looks a little worried that he got lifted up, but then he kind of gradually presents like a smile, and you even hear, Brander, you hear like this very faint, more from the stomach than from the throat. Like he's gonna chuckle, but he's kind of stopping himself from kind of laughing out loud.
All hail the champion of Savas! No, that's it.
Oh, put me down, Brander. Put me down.
I'll sort of, I'll walk around the table a few times, and then, with his complaining, I'll put him back in his seat.
As you sit him down, you see that his face is all kind of like red, like at a blush, and he looks like a little frazzled. But you don't see that you don't see hatred or anything in his face. He's kind of not used to have attention thrown on him. But when you sit him back down, he almost immediately goes back to the board and setting it up again. And by now, like Marcus, you're pretty much done your meal, and yeah.
I would think that as I'm not kind of listening specifically what Nathan was talking about with the game and all that lifting up and cheering stuff and all that, I've kind of been occupied in my own thoughts, and I've just been like thinking to myself like this damn sitting down in the hall and minding the keep and that sort of stuff. It's like, it's killing me, this type of, my mind is wandering on thoughts of, of basically getting some action. I'm craving for some action and just kind of squeezing my hands into a fist and just kind of, just wallowing in my thoughts about, it's been a long time since I've been in a real fight, where lives are actually been at stake, or if it's been for glory and recognition. It's been a long time since it's been a fight where it's been, noteworthy glory and recognition type of thing. It's I feel stagnant, that sort of thing. Just.
So as you're thinking that, it doesn't take too long for your maester to approach the table. From the entranceway, he takes a long walk around the where the pyre would be, approaches the table, sits a hand on it, kind of leans down towards you, Marcus, towards your ear, and he says, "We should talk."
I'll turn my eyes at Brander, and I'll wait for him to see that I'm looking at him, and then I'll give him a nod with my head towards the door from where the maester came in, and then I'll go to stand up myself and go with the maester, expecting Brander to come with me.
I'm gonna mess up Marianne's. It's Marianne, right?
Yeah.
Marianne's hair. Take the elephant out of her hand and sort of carry her under my arm over to where Nathan is, and then I'll put the elephant back on the board, and then I'll set her down and sort of like, push her away, and I'll head with Marcus and the maester.
In the background, you would hear, "Teach me how to play," and then you hear like from Nathan, he say, "You're not old enough. You wouldn't know how to play." So you hear that kind of like banter in behind you as you guys are kind of like leaving that scene, and as you guys are approaching the entranceway to the hall, kind of standing in this wide frame of the door, Maester Taslet turns to the two of you. And he says, "I have 2 bits of news for you. I just spoke to the house steward, Alma, and remember yesterday when I suggested something? Remember yesterday when I said that it's only a matter of time before House Rain is aware of what's happening? Well, our men, they stopped a Rain ship in the water. It's being detained right now. Eifer sent word through Raven that this ship is detained. It's a group of diplomats, must be. They have word that something's happening at Wood Tower. They want to talk about it. They want to know why we're there, what we're doing there. Something about Wood Tower refugees are already arriving at Rhineland. It's, Lord Marcus, it seems like a mess."
And your second piece of news?
He straightens a bit, and he looks in the direction of the dock. About the murder. The man was likely strangled by something thin and sharp. The body, from the looks of it, probably killed in the night.
And dumped into the water?
Yes. It's not uncommon, this is an island where there are many brigands. Even on your father's land there are outlaws, and we do have a fairly rowdy tavern, my lord. But
he was a fisherman. If he was dropped into the water and washed ashore, couldn't have been strangled on his own rod or anything like on own fishing line. It would still be around his neck. So murder is the number one cause, I would think.
It's difficult to say for you not to put any worries on the matter. Just in this year alone, there have been 4 deaths. Only one has been pointed to another. You know how these criminals are. They disappear into the woods, my lord.
And what did you say killed him?
He looks towards you, Brander, and he kind of puts both his hands kind of close to his own neck to show you. His chin lifts up, just his beard kind of pointing in your direction, and he does this almost like this choking kind of gesture to his neck, and he says something thin, strong, likely sharp, went to his neck, and it doesn't look like it was sawed, but just the pressure of it choked the man.
That's very strange. He looks over at Marcus and he looks at the maester. There was a fishing rod underneath my bed with blood on the string.
The maester straightens his back and gives you this look.
I can show you. It's on the bed.
Under your bed?
Yeah,
Was anyone else in your room?
It looked like someone had stashed it under there.
Yes, that might be pertinent, but show me, if you don't mind, my lord. And he looks over at you, Marcus.
I'll look at him with my squinty Clint Eastwood eyes, and I'll then look at Brander, and then I'll look back at Maester, and I'll say I won't say anything. I'll just give a nod.
Brander will just start walking towards his room.
The Maester kind of.
Once we start to get walking there, I'll grab Brander by the shoulder, and if the Maester looks, I'll just give him a mean enough look so that he knows to keep walking forward by himself. and I'll just turn to Brander and say, "What is this?"
There was a fishing rod stashed under my bed. I don't know. Marianne found it this morning when she came to wake me up.
You going out at night strangling fishermen now?
No, of course not. I just found it. It's on my bed.
I won't say anything, but my frown on my face will go to Carl Urban levels, and I'll give him a squeeze on the shoulder before I let go.
I just found it under there. I just told you. I just found it.
I'll just, without saying anything, I'll start to walk forward where the Maester went.
Okay, so eventually you get to Brander's room. The door is, of course, closed. The Maester stands before it. He doesn't violate your privacy. He kind of glances at the door and then glances to you.
I'll move forward, open up the door, and then I'll just walk into the room and point at the bed where the thing is.
Do you want to describe your room? How would your room look?
It probably has a lot of scuff marks and things that have been repaired, like holes in the walls, parts where maybe furniture was smashed up against places and then fixed over, but not, kind of like if you have like a perfect room and then you mess it up, you can't really get back to being perfect again. That's kind of the way it looks. It looks, like it was very well done originally, but there's been a lot of action that has happened in this room. There's like drag marks on the floor, maybe where the bedpost has been moved around a lot, and very Spartan, not really much in there, maybe a reading desk, a reading chair, and lots of books.
Where is this rod?
And I'll point to the bed. Is it not there?
Okay. He walks towards it. He sees it within your sheets. And while he doesn't touch it, he's kind of like glancing down at it and then looking at you.
It was under the bed, down there. Marianne had to crawl in to get it.
He kind of gets on a knee, and obviously he's pretty old, so getting on his knee is a fairly laborious task. But he does kind of bend down and look underneath the bed, and then glancing back to you, Brander.
Why would someone stash it under there, under my bed? Are they trying to frame me for this?
I'm uncertain, Brander. He picks up the broken rod and kind of starts to roll up the thread. This is very likely what has caused the death.
You see the blood on the thread right there.
Yes. Well, since we don't know who came into your chamber, I suggest, Lord Marcus, that guards be placed at least in the hallway. at night.
Especially with the wood tower. Do you think someone from another house has infiltrated us? There's someone who's gonna start killing us off.
There's been iron-born infiltrators in our ranks in the past many a times.
Do you think
whoever would try to do this is doing a piss-poor job at it?
Do you think the wood tower girl is in danger?
Well, it's at least worth it to post guards. Post the guards, especially at night.
Well,
What did you say? These house reign diplomats, they're being held, or are they being held by our ships at sea?
yes, my lord, your father positioned all our vessels to blockade the harbor. So that would also force House Rain to have no access to the greater waters beyond the inlet. From this missive, it seems that Rain sent ambassadors out and their ship was seized for the time being. I believe that they want to give that Captain Eifer wants to give us enough time to ready things for their coming. And by ready things, this maester kind of like looks to you, and it looks like he has some trouble talking for a second. By ready things, I'm certain he means making things look presentable, locking up the prisoners, keeping them out of mind's eye, presenting a more sunny disposition, my lord. House Rain is tied very closely to the Mormonts, and if what this letter says is true, which I don't doubt, that Rain is receiving refugees from Wood Tower, it's only a matter of time before word hits the Mormonts on the other side of the island.
And father is out hunting. Come on, Brander, we need to get ourselves on some steeds and head to Wood Tower territory immediately. Can't do anything from here, and I don't trust Almer enough to be in charge of taking care of business.
Are you gonna leave Edgum in charge?
No. I'm gonna leave Elena in charge.
Elena Wood Tower.
No. Our sister, Elena.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
But your maester's nodding to you at what you're saying. He says, a very sound judgment, my lord, very sound judgment. What of the lady Alessa Woodtower? Is she to accompany you, my lord, or is she to remain here?
She is definitely not to accompany me. She is definitely not to know that I have left for Wood Tower territory. We are going there to hide everything we don't want the House Rain to see. We are going there to make sure that Almer takes care of business.
Sounds good, brother. I'll prepare the horses.
Go right away.
Your maester nods to you. You see in his eyes that there's firm respect he has for you for this decision. And
I'll place my hand on his chest if he's planning to walk to a direction of his own. And once Brander has gone off to get the horses, I'll just say to the maester that I'm trusting you to make sure that Elena's authority is adhered to, and Edgam does not pose his.
Yes, Lord Marcus, I will be right at Elena's side to be certain that things run smoothly as is only right, and with hope, your father will return soon. I will inform him of your leadership and of your initiative to set things right in the realm of Wood Tower.
People might not enjoy the fact that we're being run by women for a period of time, but I'd much rather take Elena into this spot than the...
Yes, my lord, the Iron Claws are all in the north. It would be the Iron Claws that would have the most difficulty being led by a woman. The rest of the House Guard, while they might begrudge it, they will listen to her instruction.
Not everyone needs to even know that we'll be gone, because we plan to come back fairly soon. As long as the ineptitude of Edgam is not put into a place of authority, everything should be fine. As long as Father doesn't return while I'm still away. And make sure Alyssa Woodtower stays completely out of it. Make sure she's entertained. Make sure she's...
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Same trouble again.
Is it just me? Is it? It might be me today.
I think it was you. It's just weird because when we played in your game, no problems at all.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah, but what if Tim was the one making a call in that one? Could
Yeah.
that affect it all?
Tim, you wanna make the call?
Well, that was the first time we had problems, huh?
Okay. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll keep going with it. Basically, what you missed is that you guys are gonna go to Wood Tower, and the Maester is gonna send back the Raven, claiming that the House Rain, since they are being kept in the water still, they're like waterlocked right now as the ship is intercepted. They're gonna remain in the water, and one of your house ships, is going to arrive at Wood Tower to basically cart you guys towards them once you've pacified that region.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So, are there any other plans for you guys to do before you tell me what you bring with you to head out?
I don't think Brander has any plans. He's just making sure the horses are all packed, his swords on the horse and taken care of, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I don't have anything planned, to give. I don't mean to give the. Well, I'll grab. I'm sure we have abundance of bear furs, and skins in some sort of storage. I'll grab one of the finer ones that has like the head of the bear and the full arms with the claws, and something that you could like mount on a wall or something, very decorative. I'll grab that and hand that to Brander, and I'll just hand it to him, and I'll say something to ease the minds of those greedy diplomats.
Sounds good. They might appreciate that.
And I'll get on my horse and I'll go, yeah!
Okay. So off you guys go. You venture out of Bearhold, and you guys are traveling along this dirt-worn kind of path. And at first you're going along the lengths of the river that belongs to your house, and eventually you come across this stone bridge that'll take you to the other side, where the water gets a little narrow, and it's if you imagine like the woods being kind of sparse in this kind of area, though the greenery is thick and there's like moss that's clinging to the sides of this bridge. It and kind of like stretches out kind of towards the center of it. You see that there's portions of this bridge that look like they look like they could use fixing. There's sections where the stone must have been like knocked out and brought elsewhere, or if something too heavy was pulled through this bridge to kind of damage the sides. But as your horses are on it, and as you're making your way through the bridge, you do know that there's quite stability to it, and there is a very brief kind of like wind in the air. It kind of sends the smell of greenery, of vegetation, of the trees, the smell of pine and all that, assaulting your senses. And you spent a good day traveling. You have like a camp probably at night. You do know that it'll take you about 3 days to get to Wood Tower if you go at a casual pace. If you really exert your horses, you might make it there in 2. So it's up to you guys.
I'm guessing we're probably going to try to get there fast, right?
Yeah.
So I guess 2 days we'll push it.
Okay. So you'd arrive closer to night on the second day.
And our dad is being out hunting for a long ass time.
Yeah. Well, King Robert went hunting for like a month, so.
Oh.
Okay. You're hunting for a while isn't that unusual? It's almost like a excursion almost. It's almost like they don't want to come back empty-handed, so they're with it and they're sticking to it. But as far as you guys go, the closer you get to Wood Tower, you guys are like about 2 hours away from it. You start to see like the beginnings of their territory, of their settlement. And at first you see like empty kind of farmland. As you're traveling through it, there's no one that comes out to greet you. And at all this kind of like grain and what have you, it looks like, some of it looks kind of trampled as if by horses. And the deeper you go, you start to see signs of like fortifications, of like makeshift wooden fencing kind of tilted towards the road with like wooden, almost like spikes attached to it or carved from it. That's all been kind of like broken down and set aside. This all looks very hastily made, like really rough. And as you don't see the Wood Tower yet, but from one of these farms, you see there's a young boy that like rushes out, and you hear this like shout from the doorway of this farm. It says, "Frederick, no, Frederick!" And this child is like running towards you with like screaming at you guys. He says, "You killed my father! You killed my father!" As he's rushing in your direction, like arms raised and like fists from this like little insignificant child. And he's.
I'll look at Brander, to see if what his reaction is to seeing this.
Brander's gonna look over at the boy, and he looks at Marcus. Seems like Marcus is trying to tell him to take care of it. At least that's the way Brander takes it. And Brander pulls out his warhammer and swings it in the air above his head once.
The boy kind of like he's kind of close to your horse, Brander, but as soon as you like swing the warhammer over your head, he like takes a few steps back and he falls on his ass, and his mother is like running out, kind of like her arms up in the air, like almost like in surrender as she gets close to the boy, and kind of huddles with him in her arms, looking up at you guys with like red face and like tears.
What happened here?
In a frightened tone, she says, "You know what happened here."
I'm gonna step down off my horse and start like moving over towards him. I don't, and I'm gonna like slam the I guess it's actually a flail. I'm sorry, the flail into the ground.
As you do that, and as you notice the posture that she has, you do see that some of her clothing was kind of like torn at the skirt, and she looks to you, and it looks like she could like. She wants to bite your face off or something. There's like so much hatred in her face, and as well as fear, of course. But she says, "They came dressed as you are, in furs of bears, with claws from their hands. They took my husband." And then she kind of, as after she says "and," she kind of like, sniffles and gets all choked up. And the boy kind of like, as you're down now, the boy kind of like springs up and gives you this like punch to the hip. Like, it doesn't hurt you at all. But this kid is like about to wail at you again. "No, stop, Frederick."
I'm gonna do something that my father once did to me back in my room. I'm just gonna like hit him in the throat. Not like I'm not trying to like rip his throat out or punch it in. Just like a quick chop to the throat to just sort of like stun him.
Okay. As the boy kind of like falls back stunned, the mother reaches for his hand, kind of huddles him again, forces him behind her, and she says, "Please don't hurt us. Don't hurt him. He's seen so much."
I'll look at Brander and I'll just nod my head as to point out that let's keep moving.
I'm gonna throw the lad a silver piece, just to sort of like flick it down at him and get back on the horse and start riding.
He stares. They stare at the piece. You get on the horse. You're not sure if they picked it up or not. But the deeper you go,
and that was bile, the throwing of the coin. Like, here's for your troubles, one silver coin. Fucking dick.
The deeper you guys go, you start to see the wood tower, and you start to see more people about, and you start to see your own soldiers. You are seeing you start to see bear claws. You see actually you see Prod Stonemore. He doesn't quite notice that you guys are there, and it looks like he's huddled with some of the other Iron Claws. He's huddled with some of the other Iron Claws. You see some of your guards. They have like a tight perimeter to the place, and as you guys are now in like the village proper, you see that there are very few villagers. And it looks like all the businesses and all that stuff has been closed down. It's not even in effect. You see Wood Tower's banners on their standards, but you also see your own house's banners displayed as well on the Wood Tower itself, which you guys haven't seen the Wood Tower too many times. It's not like an impressive big structure. It's quite thin. It's not thin. It's quite short and kind of like squat. And it is, completely made out of wood. Very little stonework around the base of it. The top has this like pointy kind of roof to it with with a little bit of a palisade beneath it for archers and what have you, and it hugs along the coast. Like you see the dock or the harbor for Wood Tower. This is a little fishing village. It's also known for its lumber. A lot of lumber trade comes from there. Chances are that some of the very ships that your house is using to blockade this bay might have been constructed using some of Wood Tower's, the wood, their woodcraft. But it appears that Wood Tower has very few, actually has no ships of its own. All the ships that you do see, all the boats, are fishing vessels that most likely have been pulled into dock because they're like congested, even though you don't see many people. So as you guys are riding in to this kind of scene, you guys would even see that there is a carriage nearby that has like 5 bodies in it. They're not even covered. They're just like laying there with one foot kind of dangling out. It looks like they're not your guys. 3 of them look like soldiers of Wood Tower. The rest, the others, they appear to almost look like civilians. You don't quite see your brother anywhere.
I'll yell out, "Prod!"
He turns to look at you, surprise in his face. He immediately puts on this like scowl as he approaches. My lord.
Brother, I need you to point me to Oliver. Where is he?
He gestures towards the tower. He's in there, my lord, dealing with some issues.
Got some more issues for him to deal with. Yeah!
So you, Prod kind of watches you ride off. The other Iron Claws that he was with before he came back to you also kind of watch you. There's like a lot of heads being nodded, like arms being raised in greeting. And as you're passing these civilians, you see like heads being lowered as you're passing. Like no one wants to make eye contact. And you're before the Wood Tower now. You're standing before this squat structure, and you do see your brother's horse kind of tied to a post nearby, and you hear shouting from within within the tower. You hear, "Why should I care about this business? This is all crap. We have more important things to deal with."
I'll strap my horse to a pole, and then I'll look at Brander to accompany me, and then I'll walk right in my power walk and stone face. I'll walk into the Wood Tower.
I'll make sure the horses are tied up first, and I'll follow right behind them.
As you step in, you notice that this first chamber that you guys kind of go into it looks similar to your own from your hall, except there is no like central hearth. It's like this like open kind of space where the Lord would see his people, and but instead of there being a Lord, you see your brother sitting on a tall wooden chair. Beside him, to his right, you see Belthair, who looks to be quite pissed, but as soon as he sees you, like a grin develops on his face. And beneath your brother, beneath Almer, you see kind of like kneeling down, you see like a citizen that's like youngish man from the back of his head, from what you see, and he's brought like a sheep in with him. He's like clutching onto this like almost this like muzzle with one hand, but your brother is still staring down at him, and then slowly his eyes turn towards you, and he gets up off the seat.
I look fairly displeased. I have that kind of my subtlety is kind of gone. my facial expressions expressing my discomfort and how displaying how displeased I am is on the overacting levels of Vince McMahon, and I'm like power walking in that manner, like this overly kind of way, and I'm like really like stomping the ground as I'm walking, towards my brother, and I'm really like scowling and really like looking mean as a bear, and I'll walk right towards him, and I'll say, "You mind explaining what in seven hells is going on?"
Your brother looks over to Belthier and he says, "Get this peasant out of my sight." And for a second, you're like, what the hell? But Belthier grabs the guy with the sheep, and he starts carrying him out as this guy is protesting. "But your men, they're eating my livestock. How am I supposed to?" And this guy, as he's ushered out, Belthier kind of closes the doors, and he's on the inside with you and your brother. And your brother, he's looking like right in your eyes, like he doesn't want to back down. And in somewhat of a calm tone, though it's measured, he says, "I'm just obeying Father's orders, except there is a trouble with the plan. Things didn't quite go as they were supposed to. Belthier told me everything. I know you're not pleased, brother, but surely you see that I'm dealing with the situation as best as I can. Most of the men are in the woods tracking that asshole down. We'll grab him, we'll have him. But from what you can see outside, this land is ours now. The people are pacified. The men are happy. Some of them," he kind of grins a bit, says, "some of them are probably gonna be fathers."
The thing is, I do not doubt that you're doing your all. The thing is, you're doing your all in a campaign of conquest, which this needs not be. We're not here to conquer this land. We're not here to pillage and destroy this land. If this land is to be ours, we need it functioning. We need all the farmers farming the land. We need all the commerce happening as it should be happening. We don't need a speck of land just to add to our own, just so we would have more land on the map. This has caused a ruckus at House Rain. This chaos has not been detained. That is the problem that you've caused.
He looks perplexed for a second. It looks like he's holding back his anger. He says, "Well, if Father wanted diplomats, he would have sent diplomats, brother."
We already have diplomats from House Rain begging their way here because they've already had word of what's really going on here. I came here just to make sure everything is adhered to, because after this, I'm going straight to those diplomats to straighten them out. And there wouldn't be any need to straighten them out if this would have been handled right.
Brother, you know we can piss on Rain. They hardly have any power.
But the Rain can't be pissed on because they have close ties to the Mormonts. If we piss on them, Mormonts piss on us, and we can't have that.
What do you suggest, then? Should I just let all the prisoners go? Should I give up the chase for this heir?
No. But it needs to be much more subtle. We need to keep up appearances so that others don't see what we're really after. I'm not saying we shouldn't do what we're doing, but we shouldn't do it openly. Take those banners, take those Roderick banners down. take every soldier away from eating the livestock of these farmers and have them rebuilding those farms. I know the civilians will have two types of stories to tell if somebody asks them once we start to rebuild. But rebuild we must if we are going to use this land for anything worthwhile.
Your brother takes a breath, and then his eyes kind of leave yours, and he gives you this nod. All right, we can do that. I'll tell the soldiers to be less grabby with the women and to refrain from overindulgence. I'll put a ban on their alcohol consumption, although some of the boys won't like that, Claudio especially. What about the prisoners? There's like 60 of them. They're all cramped together.
We will keep the prisoners so that we can keep them away from prying eyes.
What about the lot I sent you?
I've taken care of them. Like I said, we don't need those prisoners. They're all fairly colorful. A lot of them were just warriors.
Yeah, I sent you the most, the rabble-rousers. The ones we have now are, well, to be honest with you, some of the boys took him in just because they had pretty wives and daughters.
You should go through them and see which ones you can buy with fear. You can buy their silence with fear. And have them walk about and freed. But the ones that can't be shut up need to be shut up with some sharp objects.
All right, I'll deal with that. But does this mean you're taking over now?
No, because I will have to leave back to Bearhold as soon as I've dealt with the diplomats. That means I'm still leaving you in charge here. I just have to make sure you're in charge whilst in full knowledge of what needs to actually happen here. The thing is, we have Alyssa Woodtower in our custody as a guest, and I use air quotes. And once either father or me, or any of us really, spreads her legs, Woodtower is as good as ours as soon as that male heir is taken care of. There wouldn't have been any need for this whole pillaging campaign to start with. Now the main thing having to do with this pillaging campaign is to silence anyone who would spread word about it.
Marcus, if we treat the people good, they won't have any cause to hate us. Especially if they're going to listen to us and we are going to rule them.
I'll look at and point my finger at Almer and I'll say, you must convince these people here that this was all because of Iron-born double agents and the aggressors inside the Woodtower lines, that this was a purge of criminals, and you must help them rebuild and constantly remind them how lucky they are that we came here to save them and are now helping in the repairs that were an unfortunate byproduct of the purge. Don't use the word purge.
All right, brother. I'll see to it.
Remember, we are not to be seen as conquerors and great men of war. We are to be seen as rescuers, as liberators, as the good guys. Understand?
Yeah. Might be too hard to get that across to some of the women, but
Well, send the Iron Claws at least away and have somebody tell those lines for you, not you if people have seen you actually give the orders.
alright, I can send the Iron Claws into the woods to look for the heir. And I can pull back some of the regular guards. They're less hardened, as you know. Have them deal with the civilians. I'll look through, as you said, through all the prisoners. Get rid of the ones that are difficult. Keep the ones that are amicable. You probably noticed some of the boats outside. Not everyone that we have here is from Wood Tower. Some of these guys are just fishermen some of them even from the mainland. Some of these guys have seen things.
My Lord Marcus, if those fishermen are let loose, they will spread tales. Perhaps you should tell them what to say. I don't know how you could motivate them to speak our truth and not the truth.
I have my ways. Why? Fine. You know what to do. Get to doing it. I'm running late for my meeting with the diplomats. I'll see the fishermen. We'll get on a boat. We'll go see the diplomats.
Alright, brother. And you see Belthier opening up the doors again. And just on the outskirts, you see that guy with the sheep still kind of like clutching onto it, looking towards the doors. But your brother immediately, like out loud, kind of shouts, "Lower the Roderick banners. We're here as friends, not conquerors." And he kind of gives you a look.
And I'll give him even though I have the frown on my face, I'll still have him. I'll give him a nod. And then I'll look at Brander and give him a nod, pointing to the door, and I'll go to walk out with him.
Yeah, Brander, I'll get the horses ready.
As you guys are leaving, as you're getting the horses ready, Belthier approaches you. He's got that matter-of-fact kind of look to him. He's running one of his hands through his mustache. He's kind of scratching at it as he says, "I'm glad you got here. To be quite honest with you, your younger brother, is quite full of himself. He listened to my words, but as you can see, things aren't really peachy. Good on you that you came, but where's your sister?"
I left her in charge. See the sacrifices I have to make in order to make sure everything works out fine.
You left your sister in charge? He kind of
Yes.
like grinds his teeth a bit. You're putting her in a position of a man. I understand she's your sister and all, but...
You can shut your bear trap right there. You and the Iron Claws are all here. You don't need to take one order from her. She's only there because I have to be there. And the one who was in charge before I came there is not suited for that task. I would rather put my little brother Nathan in charge than him.
He nods to you firmly, but then you see this like slight grin form on his face as he says, "Marcus, you know my appreciation for your sister. I only express my trouble because, and do take this lightly, my friend. If I ever get a chance to go at her, I don't want her to be behind me, if you know what I'm saying. He widens his grin. If she's used to taking charge, he tilts his head slightly, suggesting to you that he doesn't want to end up being fucked if he ever gets the chance to bed your sister.
I get it. I'm just. I won't. I'll keep completely stone faced. I'll be. I'm like.
I think Brander at this point probably headbutts him in the nose.
Okay. All right. You headbutt him in the nose. Describe it. What do you want to happen to him? You want like a blood to squirt out of his nose? You're doing this to injure?
I hold Alina up to on a pretty high pedestal, and he's talking pretty matter of factly about one of his betters, and it just like Brander doesn't hold back. So,
okay.
He's just gonna crack him in the nose as hard as he can with his forehead.
So as you crack him in the nose, he doesn't even take a step back, but his head kind of flinches backwards, and he lifts up his right arm to go up to his nose, and you see like the blood go up against the top of the claw of his like gauntlet, and
I'll slap Brander so hard in the back of the head he'll lose his footing.
All right, so I'll tumble down, and as I'm on the ground, I'm gonna say, "You talk about fucking my sister again, I'll fuck your corpse."
Whoa. He looks down at you. You see like this anger mounting, but out of respect for your brother,
I'll at mid sentence I'll place my hand on his chest, not saying anything but looking menacing at him. And I'll just push my hand, to like in mid sentence to just get the fuck out, type of thing, without saying a word.
Yeah, he backs out, but he doesn't back up like he turns around and walks away. He backs out like still staring at Brander like.
Brander's gonna be looking up even though he's on the ground and just staring at Belter.
He's giving you that "we're not through" kind of like look. But eventually, once he's like 7 paces back, he does turn around, and you see his like shoulders kind of roll as he's just like coming down from it, and you see one of the other Iron Claws kind of like grinning at him and kind of like makes a gesture towards you and then to him. And then as Belthy kind of gets close to the guy, he gives him this like firm like push, and the guy falls on his ass, and the other Iron Claws are laughing at the guy who just fell on his ass. As you guys can clearly see, at least you can clearly see that Belthy has like an alpha kind of personality when it comes to these guys.
As he goes, I'll as he turns around and does that, I'll grab Brander from the collar and like forcefully pull him up on his feet, and I'll just say, that man will kill you, and I'll.
He was talking about our sister. Don't you give a fuck about our sister?
I don't give a fuck about your corpse being at my feet at this point.
Brander just sort of shakes his head and averts his eyes.
You ever kill a bear?
No, Marcus, I haven't.
He has. It's just as deadly as I am. Don't be in a hurry to die. Still have use for you. I still have use for you. Gonna have to go and see the fucking diplomats.
Yeah, yes, let's go.
Okay.
I'll mount.
So you mount your horse. Um, the docks, as I described earlier, are littered with ships. From your understanding, all of them would be able to take you, to the opening of the bay where you'd imagine the ship would be held. You also know that actually, scratch that. One of your house ships would be visible to you. As a quick retcon, it's not all wood tower and fishing vessels. Since 3 days have passed, that would have been sufficient time for the Raven to arrive and for your own house ship to be present. So one of your house ships are present to escort you to the group if that's how you want to go. You do, as you guys get close to the dock. You do see that some of the sailors, like foreign sailors as well as local ones, are kind of staying close to their ships, and of course their eyes kind of averting from you guys as you guys are walking up this pier, and it's I'm imagining, since you guys are going to take a ship, that you're either going to leave your horses here or you're going to take the horses with you. So a ramp would have to kind of come down.
Take the horses with us because we aren't sure yet if we'll take that ship straight to Bearhole.
Okay. So this ramp is kind of brought down, and you guys walk your horses up this ramp. Immediately upon getting to the top of the ship, you do see your sailors. And you do see the captain of the ship. It's this one-legged, kind of grizzled veteran. It's Ifer himself. And as you're walking, as you're right on the ship, he's there to greet you. There's this strong smell of body odor, and with a tint of urine scent off this guy. As he has his kind of fist up in almost in an L shape in this weird salute towards you. You see his biceps kind of flexing a bit as he's in this position. My lords, glad to have you. I'm telling you, these diplomats are a piece of work.
Let's get to them.
All right, boys, lift the plank. Let's go. You see, sailors lifting up that ramp that you guys just walked on. The ship kind of detaches, and the sails start to pick up the wind as you're leaving Wood Tower. He says, "Won't take us long. Probably, sun will probably still be up by the time we get there, my lords." So, how are things on the mainland?
Fine.
He grins at you. I didn't tell him anything. The men, they didn't tell him anything. They're a bit pissy, though, as you can imagine. He spits out the side of the ship, asking a bunch of questions. None of the guys have any answers to it. They're really wondering about why we blockaded the entire harbor. Their ships can't really leave either.
Yeah. We'll get to the bottom of that soon enough.
Anyway, their lead diplomat is his name is Farron. He's quite the upstanding sort, if you know what I mean. Not the kind of people we usually deal with.
Are they lords?
He's the direct diplomat. Must be related somehow. He didn't declare himself as Farron Rain, my lord. He's probably a high member of that household. Sons of bitches might be afraid to send heirs in our direction. Squints an eye slightly.
They would be smart to do so.
Anyway, there's a group of like 10 of them. We searched their ship. They didn't bring anything that even looks like it might be a gift. So you know they're not coming on friendly terms.
I've taken that to consideration, yes.
Anyway, we'll arrive there relatively soon. I'd offer my lord something to eat, but tell you honestly, it's either fish or rations. Got plenty of wine or ale, though, if you'll have it.
Brander can have what he wants. I don't need to be intoxicated once.
I hear ya.
Wine.
Wine? Alright. Boys, fetch him some wine. Sailor rushes off, comes back not too long later with what do you call it, a jug and a mug, and he pours it for you. Here you go, my lord. And in the distance, you start to see, this is like some time has gone by, of course. You see 2 of your house ships and 1 house rain ship in the distance. The reasons why you can identify them is because your sails hold your flag, and the house rain flag is also clearly visible on the rain ship. It's this white sword that pierces 2 black fish that might be either fish or stylized whales on a field of blue. And it's clear that the ship is completely blockaded, and you don't quite make out people yet as you're too far, and by now, Brander, have you been sipping on this wine or?
Yeah. You said you poured me a glass?
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would have finished that one and had him pour me another. Mm-hmm. But that's probably all I'm going to drink, 2 glasses.
Okay. So as you've had your 2 glasses, you notice that Ifer would have just been drinking as well. After you finish your 2nd glass, he'd say, "You gonna have some more, my lord? Or you want me to finish this?"
It's yours.
All right then. He starts to drink it, and as your ship is getting kind of closer to this like 3 ship kind of lockdown, you guys are kind of like, you notice that your vessel is kind of like turning, and there's a very slow kind of like almost like a drift as your ship is getting closer and closer, and you see sailors tossing rope from your vessel to theirs. And there's opposite sailors also of House Roderick kind of, gripping the rope and kind of tugging at it. It's like a collective force of people getting the ship closer and closer. And once it's close enough, that same ramp that kind of took your horses and all that goes down, and it goes to the side of that rain ship. It's so if you can imagine like 3 of your ships like really tight around this rain vessel, and this when this wooden drawbridge kind of thing kind of settles down, it's you see these like metallic latches beneath it that kind of keep your ship at a distance from there, so there's no like collision. And you see from the very far end, as I said, this ship kind of came in at a drift, so like the tail end would still kind of be moving towards the other ships. So for a second, as you're thinking that there might be like a wood-to-wood contact, there's these like large wooden kind of like almost like bow staffs, these staffs that are pressing up against the side of that ship. There's like 10 or so sailors that are keeping that vessel at bay. So you see this like collective force of very skilled sailors as part of your fleet dealing with basically ships docking mid-water. And once it looks like the docking is secure, and your horses have been, kind of a little skittish on the water, but they're not offering much difficulty for these sailors. Once the way is secure for you guys to go aboard the Rain vessel, you do see that House Rain has kind of their diplomats have kind of congested in the center of the vessel, kind of facing the direction of the plank. And you see them kind of like, you see there's a gentleman at the front of the group kind of straightening out his like doublet, his tight pressing shirt of like fancy embroidery. And you see kind of like wide sleeves that come down from his undershirt as he's wearing like layers of clothing, since you guys are in the north and it is freaking cold from time to time, even though it's summer. The sun it's still kind of like it's setting, but it's not completely gone, and you guys have plenty of light. But even that, you do see that there's lanterns being lit in this on this ship, and this man at the front of the group with the doublet, dressed entirely in blues and whites. His hair is kind of like plastered to his face, as if he's been spending a lot of time sweating. He looks to be in his early 20s. He's got a very thin, kind of like Van Dyke kind of situation of his hair, like a thin mustache that leads down to this like goatee, and he's got gloved hands, white gloved hands. So for a second, he looks like he's a little fidgety, but then he very slowly straightens his back, and almost as if he becomes a painting or something. He's like really still with his men behind him, kind of whispering to themselves as they await your descent from the plank.
Yeah, I'm expecting only me and Brander to go. I don't need anybody else riding our coattails. I'll again emphasize on how basically I let my presence and first impressions be felt when I board their ship, with the way I walk, the way my face is, and the way I carry myself, with my facial scars and my immense body size. I want it to be instilled in their perception that I am somebody who can kill a man with a single punch, and I'm completely willing to do it if it comes to that type of intimidation thing, there.
As you're heading downstairs, down towards the ship, you see that the men behind Farron their whispers get a little louder as you hear the words from within that little crowd. That's Marcus, and that's probably with him. That's probably the bastard. And that being said, Farron takes a step forward. At least the man in the front takes a step forward, and he gives you this very slow, deliberate kind of nod.
I'll keep my stone face, and I'll give him a nod, and then I'll go and take the fur from Brander's hands, and I'll hold it up in my hands towards them, and I'll say, "Please accept our hospitality before the proceedings."
His shoulders slouch a bit, and at that point, Brander, you can kind of notice that two of the guys behind Farron, one of them is holding a tray that looks like it has salt on it, and the other guy's holding a tray that looks like it has bread on it. But once Marcus says that, you see Marcus, now you see that Farron kind of turns back and he shakes his head into his crowd and looks back to you and just extends his hand towards you.
So Brander notices that they're not going to offer us salt and bread.
Yeah, you notice that they're not going to offer it.
I'll sort of nudge Marcus and I'll tilt my head towards the trays that they're not offering us.
Yeah, I'll let him know that I acknowledge that, but no words to that effect being uttered.
Will you shake my hand?
Did they take the fur?
Oh yeah, they take the fur.
No. After that, if he holds out his hand, I thought when you said he holds out his hand was to take the fur.
Okay, no, he held it out as like a handshake kind of thing.
Yeah, I go to shake his hand almost like in a sportsman-like fashion. I look him dead in the eyes and I lean forward and I grab his hand and give it two very firm shakes. Just this kind of shake type of shake, and then release his hand.
As you release his hand, he says, "You have a mean reputation, Marcus Roderick. I'm glad you understand that a handshake is a good way to open discussion. My men, well, we brought with us salt and bread in case we don't trust that our words can carry us through this. Is it necessary for us to eat before we speak? Or is a handshake enough for you, Lord?"
I do not require your salt and bread. I'm quite capable of seeing to my own safety.
Yes, your father's house is quite strong, and from what we have heard, it extends its reach towards Wood Tower. He stares at your eyes for a second. Is this true?
Yes, it is true. The word I used before about keeping myself safe is the key here. The word safe. We are keeping Bear Island safe. You see, the word must have come to you from the mouths of peasants and common folk who haven't been informed or are simply uninformed of the motivations of our actions. You see, our territories for the longest time in the history that we've shared on this island has been filled with constant uproar, constant battles against the Ironborn. The Ironborn have been seen multiple times on this island, blending through the ranks of our good common folk and our more noble folk, being more hard to detect every day. It just so happens that their influence has been spreading with the brigands of this island, with themselves, and with a lot of people who are desperate for shifts of power. Now, once we had a certain flock of Ironborn and brigands taken care of, being run away from our lands, very soon after that we had word that about the ill fate that had befallen to Lord Wood Tower. And as soon as that happened, chaos reigned. As soon as that happened, all the begrudged elements, all the begrudged common folk who had been working together with these Ironborn, with their help, their weapons, and their uproar and their motivation went and tried to take over those lands. It was our duty to see to the safety of Bear Island. There wasn't enough time to inform all our allies and fellow inhabitants of the island about what was going on. Action was much more quickly needed. Thus, we dispatched our iron claws immediately to take care of these people. Once they arrived there, the pillage had already taken place. The farms were burning and destroyed. Women and children were dragged from each other's arms. Blood was everywhere. Corpses were everywhere. And it was extremely hard to make out which were innocent commoners and which were the ones working with the Ironborn and the brigands that started this whole mess. Companies led against us were working under the orders of the male heir of House Woodtower, and he has now disappeared. No one has seen him.
Are you saying that companies sent against you were those of the heir?
I am not confirming that. I am simply saying that the information squeezed out of them led us to the evidence that they were working under his orders. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as we detained the situation and put up order, he is nowhere to be found. He has run off, most likely into the woods somewhere.
Lord,
working around the day to find him.
Lord Marcus, the old head of House Woodtower, you said that he has died?
That information has not come to you yet?
He shakes his head. It has not.
Well, this is news to me. I was expecting that news had already come to everyone's knowledge. I guess the heir acted as quickly as possible, and as we had to act as soon as possible, I guess the information simply hasn't gone out. The reason for all this naval blockage here is because the Ironborn are not to be allowed to escape, but they are to be stomped under our feet and made sure to perish from this island for good.
The farmers, the citizens that have come to House Rain, simply stated that your house, men that looked like bears, as tall as bears, as strong as bears, assaulted the territory. There was no mention of Ironborn. There was no mention of any of this. Quite frankly, as soon as word arrived, we sent this vessel out to investigate. There's very little time that we had, but if you're telling us that the heir is dead, that the head of the house is dead, and that the heir is formulating some sort of takeover, are you saying that the heir killed his father?
I dare not go that far myself. From what I understand, he died while hunting. It simply feels more like, and I do not have concrete evidence for this yet, but from what we've been able to extract from the violent and aggressive adversaries we faced, they still worked under his orders. So it's fair to presume that as soon as that hunting accident happened, he was ready to take over.
He kind of looks troubled for a second. Clearly, if his father died, he would have known that he was next in line. Something doesn't add up, Lord Marcus.
I am not aware of all the intricacies and disputes within the family itself of who gets to do what. All I know is once I found out about all this, it was already time to send the Iron Claws to restore order. That is why you are not let to go there yet, because order has not completely been stabilized. There is still danger there.
What is to be done with the heir then? The land would fall to him. Perhaps he's just threatened by your presence as the civilians were when they came into our lands. Perhaps a simple retreat from your men might bring the heir out to stabilize the situation.
I do not believe that is wise, because our presence there didn't provoke his actions. His actions provoked our presence there.
Did he act against you before your presence was shown? Did he assault your lands, Lord Marcus? Your father's lands?
No, but as soon as we came there to help to offer our helping hand in upholding the law and order of Bear Island, the place we all reside in, and in which if one household falls under violent chaos, it affects all of us. Once we came there to give our helping hand, we were attacked by men working under his orders from what we could squeeze out of them.
He nods slowly at you, and he says, I suggest, and this is simply a suggestion, that House Mormont be allowed to deal with this situation. They are the protectors of the island, Lord Marcus. They would set this to right.
I do not agree with that. I am fully confident in my house's capabilities in handling this. This has only gone on for a couple of days. You cannot assess the situation and our progress based on only a couple of days.
I understand that, but keep in mind, since House Mormont they are our banner lords, they will be, if they are not already, made aware of the situation, and since they are, by the will of the Starks, the heads of this fair island of ours, you must be aware that their presence in this will be made visible to you and to your household.
Their presence may become visible to us, of course, but we do not need to relinquish our duty to uphold the law and protect the people of Wood Tower simply because the more you prefer the Mormonts. Our force and our power and our capability is well sufficient to handle this situation. Or do you doubt our household's capability or my honor to withhold my word in taking care of it?
You immediately see that he turns his back and gives a nod to his group, and then the guy with the tray and the bread steps forward to offer it to you and him, and he looks at you and he looks at the tray. And then
I see that you do not.
He takes some salt and he puts it into his mouth, and he takes some of the bread and he munches on it slowly, and he looks towards it again and he says, as he's finished eating, I don't think the handshake was sufficient enough. Eat and see that we were hospitable, and let our ship return back to our lands.
I asked you if you doubt my honor, and in response, you give me the response of a frightened little child throwing salt and bread into my face, as if to say you do not trust my honor without using words.
Lord Marcus, your house, your father's house, has a particular reputation that I am certain you are aware of. And he looks at your face, like the claw marks on your face. He eyes them for a second, and he says, there are stories all throughout this island that you throw men to die to bears. I see how... I know from stories how civil your house is. I know from stories how touchy your father is. And I am beginning to see how ambitious your house is. I only asked that the true lords of the island have their hand in this, and it seems that you don't want this to happen. Are the Mormonts not your lords?
Yes, they are.
So
but that is beyond the point. The point here is to us to relinquish our duties to them simply because they are our lords. And you basing your views about what I mean with my words on words you hear from others, on stories based on what our household does and doesn't do.
Well, then allow us to see what is truly going on over there. That is why we came. And we will take word back.
Yet another example of you not taking me for my word, therefore not taking me for my oath of honor, therefore not taking me for a true Iron Claw and not a true warrior of virtue and honor. Do I understand what you are getting at?
He looks to the salt, looks to the bread, and he says, am I under your control right now? Am I considered to be on your territory, surrounded by your ships? Because I have eaten the salt and the bread, and I know that justly you may not strike me down nor threaten me. I want you to take the same offer of this bread and the salt, and I want us to part ways if you don't want me to see what's going on the other side. But I will take this conversation to my lord, and news of this will go to House Mormont. And I will tell you, Lord Marcus, I will tell you that we don't believe that a solution has been established.
I'm kind of huffing and puffing to myself, and I aim to burn a destiny point in a attempt to use intimidation to the point of basically scaring them into believing my story on face value.
Okay, so intimidation into having them believe it. Okay. Let me see how we could work that into. Okay, so we could do like an exposition that while you're telling them.
No, I know what I'm gonna tell them.
Okay, perfect.
If I'm allowed to.
Yeah,
do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking at them. This is a diplomatic mission. Are you under my orders? And I look up into the sky, and then I'll look at them again. I'll say, we're but men. We're working under the orders of the Seven. Are we not? Let's see truly whose honor is worth the gaze of the gods, whose honor is worth actually the pat of the gods, whose honor is actually worth a damn. I've tested my honor against wild beasts, and any man standing who has ever stood in front of me. I have killed men with a single throw of my fist. My honor is untainted. My honor has never been contested successfully, and my honor will not be contested or brought under scrutiny by you on this ship, under that sky, under that roof of the Seven. And I rip my shirt open, Hulk Hogan style, and I'll say, and I will be damned. I'll go to seven hells if you are to do that to me right now, under the eyes of my brethren and under the eyes of the gods. You will know the value of my word and my honor. Tell that to the lords.
As you do that, as you defend your honor, and like you rip at your shirt, the rain servant that holds the salt kind of drops the tray, kind of like to add drama to the situation, and like the salt kind of like hits the deck and splashes about, getting on the boots and what have you. And this Farron, kind of wide-eyed at your display, is kind of speechless at a lack for words. He just nods towards you and very kind of like meekly says, I would not question your honor. I will carry your words to my lord.
After that, I physically look like I'm a little bit calmer, like I don't look like I'm foaming at the mouth or anything. And then I take one step forward and hold out my hand for a handshake.
You see, he, like very like timidly first, he reaches for your hand to shake it, and he offers you a weaker handshake than he did at the beginning, where he was a little more confident in himself.
I give him an exact duplicate of the shake I gave before. No like squeezing or anything like that. I'm completely locking my eyes with him, and I give him those two firm shakes in a sportsman-like fashion, and I release his hand.
As you release his hand, he takes like a half step back and then kind of looks up at you. You can clearly tell he's trying to avoid eye contact. Are we allowed to leave now?
Yes, you have my word on it. My word is my honor, and my word is honor bound.
Then we will return from whence we came. Thank you for your time, Lord Marcus.
I'll go to turn around, and as I turn around, I'll give a light pat on the chest of Brander, just to signal him to follow me over the plank.
Brander nods and follows without looking back at the rest of them.
So I'll immediately after that I'll go to the I can't remember the name of the captain on the ship, but
as you get back on your side, you do see that Captain Eifer he's facing the exact opposite way from where you guys were, and it's clear he's like wiggling his hips a bit as he's taking a leak on the other side of the boat, the other side of the ship. So as you make your way towards him, you hear like the plank kind of rise and being pulled back, and you start to hear like boom, 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 boom on the side of the ship as like poles are pressing against it and is kind of being like pushed out further away from the rest of the ships to kind of like de-dock from it. And Eifer, as he's like, shaking himself off, kind of gives you like a little look back, and you see his like curly kind of hair, his not bushy beard, but it looks like he's let it grow for a while as he's been out here in the water. He gives you this like squinted-eyed look. How did it go, fellas?
Went as expected. We succeeded. Signaled the other ships to let them return home.
Yes, but they're going to spread tales of what has happened. Let's hope they spread the right ones.
You see, Eifer kind of shakes his dick as he turns back to you guys, slides it back into his leggings. You see like spot marks all over his legs as this guy whizzes freely off the side. He looks towards where the ships are, and like in this loud kind of like tone, he says, "Disembark, lads, disembark." And he looks over to you, Marcus, and he says, "You want them back at Bearhold or back in the line? Make sure no ships from outside make their way in."
Keep the line. But we are going back to Bearhold. You'll take us there and then return to the line.
You got it, my lord. You got it.
And I'll go and I'll very heavily, like a heavy sack, I'll just go to sit down somewhere where I can lean back, and I'll say to Brander, "How about that wine?"
Sure, I'll get some for you. Do you want the bottle?
Yeah.
I'll go get him a bottle, and I'll take just one more glass for myself, but I'll give him the rest.
So you guys are seated there on probably on like makeshift seating, probably like a crate or something. There'd be like a fishing net off to your side, this like thick tangly thing. You'd see like seashells and something like tied to it. The ship, you hear like just like the rickety kind of like kind of sounds as it's sailing off from the rest, and in the background you start to see the disembarking of your two house vessels from this rain vessel, which you can clearly see is now doing a very slow turn back, and you see like oars off the side of the ship, kind of like going to work as that ship is basically going back from the direction that it came, and still within sight of the other ships. You'd imagine they'll probably within sight of the entire line if this whole bay is kind of like blockaded. And as you guys are getting closer and closer to your lands, the sun has now kind of set, and you guys are operating by like oil lamp. There's sailors doing their work below deck, or even on this deck. You see like some signs of people being off duty. There's shell games being played, and drinking, though not as much as you would imagine would be if you guys weren't here. Like some of the sailors are looking at you guys a bit, and you can clearly tell that they're just like taking small sips. But below deck, you hear that the sound is a little louder. It's like above deck they're trying to keep a good, and it's obvious to you guys that this is happening. Above deck they're trying to keep like a good, respectable kind of like, presence. But below deck, they're having, they're drinking and enjoying their time off.
Marcus, it seems like that was a tough situation to walk into. They seem like they have made up their minds already.
As had I.
Do you think they're going to spread tales of us as the aggressors? It seems like that was the tale spoken by the peasants.
If I know people the way I think I know people, I don't think they will. I don't think they would have much sleep after telling the tale like that. Looking at their doors, clinging to their pillows, pissing themselves, thinking I might bust through there and strangle them to death with my hands.
Intimidation has its place, brother. You and I both know that. But one voice compared with so many, I just worry. I think Father might have bitten off more than he can chew.
Yes, but it is our duty to clean up behind him. Tends to be a very reckless man.
Ifer, you begin to hear like the sounds of his peg leg kind of like approaching, and it looks like he's bringing another canister of wine, and he kind of like sits down across from you guys, leans his fairly thick body forward in this like gesture, whether you want to be refilled or not. More wine, lads.
I think I have a bottle.
Oh, you got a bottle? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take the bottle out of his hand. I was gonna try to take it calm, but we're just gonna be riding back on the boat, so give me that.
He passes you a drink as he's looking at towards you guys, and he says, "Couldn't help but overhear some of what you said, Lord Marcus. I'd say we're in a pretty good position, actually, as a house. We've got the biggest navy and the toughest son of a bitch force on land. I'd say if we wanted to, I mean, we could
take the whole island, I know. We need to be patient about that.
I get you.
That's the type of thinking Father has. Why not take the entire island and not looking to the future and realizing that we would have the Starks on our necks if we would just conquer this island? It doesn't work that simply.
Ifer gives you a grin and he says, actually, my lord, your father told me to, while I'm keeping the line, I was told that it's only going to be a matter of time before the Mormonts are aware. I think Edgar, Roderick, your father, he wants to goad them into a confrontation. At least that's my look at it.
I would like that too, but we must be more prepared for it.
He kind of licks his lip a bit, and you get this like the smell of wine. While it's already in the air, it seems like Ifer is quite a fan of drinking.
We don't need to conquer the island and be left with 5 soldiers after everyone else on the island has been massacred.
Well, a lot of the lads, and I'm not just speaking about our boys. I'm talking about the northern house, Frostfoot. I know some of their fishermen. I know some of the fishermen from Seal Spear and from Paw's Village and from Shiver Hovel. And a lot of the older men, some of the younger too, they don't like the fact that the island is being run by women, by bitches, you understand? When the male Mormons were around, well, it was another story, but now, she's got a set of tits on her, I'll give her that, but the head of House Mormont, I've always said, if you can't piss standing up, you got no place holding a sword.
I wonder if every heir of Bear Island's households would be put in a bear pit, which house would come up top. And saying that, I say it with the full knowledge that you don't even have to think about it more than a moment, if even that.
He just grins at you and gives you a nod.
Marcus,
women.
what bothers me is that father told the captain here his plans, but not you or I.
Your dad didn't. Oh, pardon me, but I thought he would have told you.
Brander takes another big swig of his wine.
Perhaps when the time comes, when the position of authority gets shifted from one generation to the next, with the good old Roderick household, perhaps then Wood Tower will already be ours, and by that time perhaps those northern houses that you mentioned will be in our allegiance. Perhaps at that time the Mormont people have been shown what crusty old women can do in terms of actual combat and actual vigor, which is nothing.
He grins at you.
You don't need to do but blow at their direction and they will topple over.
Marcus, you should marry one. Brander takes another big sip of wine. Marry those Mormonts. There you go. That's a goal for you.
The tits on him, he says. You can use them as a pillow. Soundest sleep you'll ever have, Marcus, if you take one of them.
The bigger the cushion, the sweeter the pushing. If Father marries the Wood Tower teenager, I might have me a second look of them Mormons.
He gives you a grin and nods, says, oh, your dad, he's good man. He still has life in him, I'll tell you. He carries that sword like it's a stick, I'll tell you. He looks you over and he says, like your brother, Ibert. You're just as strong, built like a solid oak, Marcus. But I got a sense you got a while to wait still. Before that generation you were talking about thing happens.
Don't ever talk to me about Ebert.
His face becomes sullen for a moment and just nods slowly. Apologies, little Marcus. It's the wine in me talking. And he lowers his head a bit.
I know it's the wine that's keeping me sitting at the moment.
Well, a couple more hours and we'll be back at Bearhold. I gotta go for a piss. Excuse me, boys. And he gets himself up. He does like a little bit of a hop as he sets the wooden leg down, and he makes his way off to the side again to relieve himself. And you start to hear like songs from down below about bears, probably a bear in the maiden fair happening down below. Disjoint somewhat. Some of the sounds, some of the voices sound like they're quite drunk. There's like a tune that's slightly off. whoever knows how to play the instrument down there, the string instrument, probably doesn't know how to play it well. But it's kind of like this boisterous kind of atmosphere down below. And as the two of you are kind of sitting there waiting for the ship to arrive in the dead of night, that's when you start to see lights from the shore, and there's like a smoke, like one of your. So there'd be someone on the ship that would light the oil lantern in the direction of where your dock would be, and then there would be someone kind of running out along the dock with like a torch, just to kind of steer the ship in the right direction, because you guys don't have like, you know, a what do you call it, a massive light on the shore to prevent you guys from basically crashing into it. So the ship kind of starts to slow as you're getting closer to the sky, waving you in from the tip of the dock. And as you guys are getting there, you guys would notice that the ship with the purple sails has already been dry docked, basically pushed to shore, as a large amount of space is ready at the dock for this warship to kind of like pull alongside. And it's just like you start to hear this like it's like a creak as the side of the ship just barely nudges against the wood, and you hear again those like boom 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 as these like sticks are pushed from the pier to kind of keep the ships, to slow it just a little more and a little more, and then you hear the as the little moat, as the drawbridge or what have you, the plank, the wide plank is brought down. Your sailors that have the horses well controlled bring them towards the descent and just hold them for you guys.
I'll just again, like I'd signal to Brander to take the horses again, but I don't want to make any grand entrance because I'm still gonna lie to Alyssa Woodtower about where I've been all this time. So I'm gonna go low key, and I'm gonna put my cloak, and I'm gonna put my torn off jacket and all that stuff on my horse when Brander takes them, and I'm gonna go, have myself a walk and go kind of nonchalantly to the back to Bearhold.
Okay, so you guys, same with you, Brander. You're following behind.
It looks like he kind of wants to go off by himself.
Okay.
So I'm just going to put the horses away and maybe go talk to the maester.
Okay. So you go put the horses away. You try to find the maester. Marcus, you're entering the Bearhold. You pass, some of the guards that are clearly active at night, more than you would have seen the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And where are you headed, Marcus? Did you say?
Well, I'm. Yeah, it's the dead of night, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing Alyssa's sleeping at this point.
Probably.
Well, I'll go see the maester.
Okay.
No, I'll first walk the whole way past Alyssa Woodtower's room so that I'll hear if she's asleep or still awake.
Okay. You can see that there's a faint light coming from beneath the door, like a candle light kind of thing, flickering. So you're not sure if she's awake or not, but you do see a light.
Well, if it's the dead of night, I don't think I.
What's Marcus going to be up to?
Yeah, but it's like I don't want to like knock on her door and she's like, ugh, What? It's the dead of night. Sorry, honey.
Unless you make an awareness check.
Yeah.
Check
Oh,
to
yeah.
see
That's
if
right.
you can hear anything from inside.
Will indeed do an awareness check and see if
Maybe she's up.
if I hear like any like sounds of like somebody turning a page on a book or or anything like that.
Maybe she's up to some mischief of her own.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, and I'll be intervening. Ah! I dropped die. Take another one. 10.
Okay. You think you heard something. It sounds like it does sound like a page actually. Almost like that kind of sound. If you heard that.
Okay. In that case, there's a guard still there, right?
Yeah, there's a guard not in front of the door, but it's obviously like within eyesight of you.
Oh, okay. I don't then need to brush him off. Yeah, that's fine. I will give the faintest knock on the door. The type, if she was asleep, she wouldn't wake up to it, but if she's awake, she will notice it. You know, those 3 little.
You hear movement approaching the door, kind of like quiet kind of steps, but you can kind of hear it just because there's like a section where it kind of creaks a bit closer to the door. So while you didn't hear her approach, you did hear like suddenly you heard like a creak, and then you hear a very faint "Hello."
Forgive me for interrupting at this hour. I just now returned back, and I simply wanted to see if, by chance, if you were awake. I would like to just.
The doors creaks open, and then like further completely opens, and you see that she's in her night clothes, and it looks like there's a lamp, and not a lamp but a candle that's near her like bedside table, and it looks like there's like papers there, and like a quill and ink, and on the tip of her like index finger you see like a black mark where maybe her hand brushed through something she was writing before it dried, and it looks like she tried to rub it off, so it's kind of smudged a little bit. She smiles very faintly, and then you smell like wine.
It's as soon as I returned, I was offered some by my friends here. It's I just wanted to come and see if you've been all right during this time, and if you're keeping yourself busy and entertained, or.
She walks towards the little table, and she picks up a sheet of paper, basically like a parchment, and then she kind of holds it up to herself, and then looks to you, and she says, I've been writing to my brother. I hope he's still out there somewhere."
Are you at this point? If she's gone further into the room, I'm expecting that I'm allowed to come in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she left the door open as she walked back towards her room, and like clearly inviting you in.
Yeah, I'll close it behind me, and I'll walk closer, slowly, and I'll kind of just creep in. And I'll just. Are you just writing it for just to get things off of your mind, or are you actually planning on sending it?
I hope you'll get to see it someday. This is mostly for me. Hold on. Oh, see a sec. I've been looking through my notes and I can't freaking find where I put the name of her brother. Did any of you write it down?
We've been talking about just the male heir.
Yeah.
I think we've been saying the male
okay,
heir.
Perfect. Okay, that's what I was.
That's what she calls her brother.
Yeah, she calls him her
My
brother.
dear brother, the male heir.
But yeah, okay. So now I'll perfect, because I have a name down.
I don't think you've said a name.
Same one. Okay, so she holds the letter out to you for you so that you can see, and you can clearly tell on this letter that her brother's name is Sigurd.
Cigar. Like a
S-I-G.
cigar with a D.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she smiles slightly as she looks at him. She says, "I had a dream about him. I had a dream that we were. I had a dream that we were at Paws Village. We used to always go there when we were little. It's our favorite place to play in the snow." She takes a little bit of a sigh as she looks at the letter and then back to you. "I always wish that it snowed again. You know, it doesn't really snow in the south, just up here and only sometimes."
I'll just look at her with this smile on my face, and kind of like this, kind of comforting type of smile. And as she mentions things like that, I'll give a single like caress of her hair.
She leans towards you and she puts she lets go of the letter. It kind of like settles on the table, and she puts like one arm kind of around you, because you're like, you're still in your thick attire, so you can hardly feel that her arm goes somewhat around you. She's got like she's a frail kind of, she doesn't have like the strength that your sister or some of the local women might have. But her well-braided hair kind of like squishes against your chest as her head kind of like rests on it, and she says, I was looking for you. I wandered all over. This place is so foreign to me. I just want to see home again.
You'll see it soon. You can be sure of that, because I'll take you there.
She like looks up from your chest, like you can tell that her eyes are like just slightly baggy, like she might have cried, but like maybe not today, or like maybe not like within the last like 2 hours or so. But she says, "Do you promise?"
I do.
How soon?
On that, I can't promise anything. My word is honor bound, and I cannot make promises on guesses. But it looks better every day. The chances of me taking you there sooner look better every day.
She smiles at that. Do you think maybe my brother is there?
He might be. I don't really know.
I feel much better now. I'm glad that you came. I don't want you to go.
I'll put my hand on her under her chin, and I'll lift her head up so that I can look her in the eyes, and
you can see that she's getting on her tippy toes. As like you've seen vulnerable women before in your day, especially since you run in the Iron Claw circle. So you've seen women that throw themselves at your men. Well, this isn't the same kind of thing. You can clearly tell that you have her in a moment of vulnerability.
Yeah. I'll just after she said that, I put my hand under her chin. I'll just say that I've been thinking a lot about you as well.
You saved me. You saved me from, if not certain death, then certain servitude to that monster Bahoon. And she, like, by now you can smell her breath. It's like it smells almost like minty, as her lips are like nearing yours, and it's obvious to you before it happens that what her intent is.
And I'll say, how could I not after seeing your eyes? And then I'll go in and give her a romantic deep kiss there.
Okay, so her lips and yours meet, and her hands kind of like slide down your arms to kind of take, not to take you by the wrist, but like to take your fingers with hers. It's kind of like you're holding fingertips almost, as she's on her tippy toes with lips locked. You can, if your eyes are open, you can see that hers are closing, and you can feel that her breath is. She's holding her breath for the duration, and then as her mouth kind of opens, you can kind of like you can taste her exhale. It's almost like she's breathing into your mouth for a brief moment before she pulls back, and the backs of her foot kind of touch the wooden floor of the room, and her head kind of returns back to your chest. And meanwhile, Brander, you are going to see your maester, right?
Yeah, I kind of figured that's what he would probably do when he returned from a visit.
So as you're headed out towards where the maester would be, you're like you've put the horses away, and you're standing. Actually, you're walking outside of the stable, and your house lands are before you. You see like the dock. You see like a stretch of the coast, and your eyes kind of focus on that stretch of coast, and it's like the scene goes blank. All the sounds of night distance themselves from you, and suddenly all you hear is, and it's like you turn your head to see where that sound is coming from, and then your face is hit by this strong, like, pressure of like wind, this cold wind that hits your face, and it forces you to close your eyes, and as you open them, you see like blue and white in front of you, as like it's almost like you're in a storm of snow that's pelting your face, and you feel this like hard grip on your shoulder, and you hear, "Get it together, lad. Let's move."
And then I'll look to see who grabbed me.
It's a man. He's dressed entirely in black, and as he's shoving you forward, you see there's another guy directly in front of you, and he's also dressed in black, and it looks like these guys are crows, and they're gesturing for you to move forward.
I look down at my hands. I'm confused. Like, what's happening here? Like,
It looks like you're dressed in black. You are. It looks like you're dressed in the same clothes that you wore when you were at the wall. From that moment, you were separated from your family, and suddenly there's snow everywhere, and these guys are forcing you forward.
I'm just bewildered and just unsure of what's happening. Where I'm at. I'm at
Brander, move it.
I'll keep moving, just keep my head down and just keep marching forward.
The guy who's got you, who had your shoulder, is now like he released it, and he is like making his way forward, and you're trying to keep up with these guys, but they're like the guy who was in front of you. He's now starting to disappear from all this snow that's blocking you. It's imagine like this like black blur that's turning gray, turning light gray, and then turns white and disappears. But the guy who was directly at your side, as he's looking back to you, his face looks familiar to you. It's a friend of yours. It's one of the only friends that you really had up there. Used to call him Moore. His name is Mord, and he actually became one of the crows. You never did, however, and this whole scene doesn't really look. It doesn't look familiar to you. It doesn't trigger in your memory. If you're thinking this is a flashback, it doesn't seem right to you. But Mord kind of glances back to you, his like stern kind of face. It looks to be like half frozen almost, as his like chubby cheeks are like almost in place. You just see his lips kind of move, though all you hear is as you can clearly see that his mouth is trying to say, "Move it, boy."
Where are we going?
And you hear in this wind, you hear like "Ist of the men," and then in front of you, you suddenly hear this like a cry from. You're not quite sure from where. Just in front of you, you hear a cry, and Mord looks forward, looks back at you, and he draws his weapon, and one arm goes back protectively towards you, and he kind of stares out into the white as snow is basically peppering you, kind of obscuring your vision, and then you see this like shadow that's approaching slowly, and you hear Mord kind of shouting in that direction, and then he rushes out into where that figure is, and it's as if there's a sudden upflow of like snow and wind, and then he gets lost right in your vision. You have no idea where he is. You just hear another sound of conflict of this guy, your friend, crying out in pain. And as you're watching, as you're looking around to try to find where the hell he is, where Mord is, you feel a hand on your shoulder. And Brander?
What? They're all lost.
As you look back, you see the maester standing there, looking at you. Are you alright? How did you get out here? You see that you're basically on the top ridge, overlooking the bay, the inlet, kind of where Marcus would have found the body, but you're kind of watching like the waters, and it's all black. And the maester's found you there, and he looks to you and he says, Brander.
I was at the wall. They were dying in the blizzard. There were shadows. How did I come down here?
I don't know, boy. I just found you here. That's all I saw, a silhouette. You trouble me with these things. I did tell you that you sleepwalk. How long have you been awake?
I was coming to see you. That's the last I remember.
Let me look in your eyes. He tries to, get a good look at you. You can feel his index fingers on the bottom of your eyelids, and he kind of opens it to see your eye completely. And he just presents that very thin kind of like smile, and then looks like a look of relief. Well, you're not under the influence of anything.
I had some wine earlier, but...
I faintly smell that, but wine doesn't give a man stirrings or the wanderlust. He kind of glances in the direction that you were kind of looking, and he says, best go to bed. It's been a long day for you, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Yes, but I didn't really do much. Marcus did most of the talking. I was just there just in case things went south.
Your brother gets a lot of strength from your presence. Don't think that he doesn't. They all do.
Yeah, I'm just a stepping stone. But I should head off to bed, I guess. Did you find anything else about the body?
I did a little investigating around the tavern. It was a very rowdy night, the night that that the death happened. A lot of conflicting stories. Some of the men said that they saw him there. Others swore that he was never in there. Some of the men even wanted to buy the man's boat off of me. There's men in there that come and go. Situations like this, there's no conclusions to them. Which is why you really shouldn't wander out alone. At least you have your weapons with you.
Yes, I almost always do. I shouldn't wander. I could end up like that fisherman.
Well, let me take you to your room if you don't mind.
No,
and
that's fine. I might get lost again.
Since you did say you were looking for me, let's speak on the way. How did the journey go? Successfully, I'd imagine.
I have my doubts. Marcus did his best, but I think Father has dug us a hole that's too deep to fill.
Your father did. Well, you know my views on this. Your father took a gamble. It's only time will tell whether it's successful or not, but if there's anyone that could set things straight, it's definitely you and your older brother. That's certain.
I think the ambassadors are going to listen to the tales of the peasants over that of Marcus. Though he did tell them that the lord of Housewood Tower has died in a hunting accident. They apparently hadn't known that. Now they do.
Well, I will tell you this, Brander, that nobles prefer to speak to other nobles. There are not many lords and ladies that take the word of peasants.
That's true.
They prefer to hear it from their own. And your older brother does have a presence about him.
Yes, when I'm near him, I often feel the need to speak, but I keep the words hidden. Sometimes when I speak, I get hit, so I don't know what to do half the time.
That might be for the best, but when you and your brother are detached from the nobility of the world, you should voice your opinions to him, because I know that you are a wise man. I've known it since I've seen you as a little lad. You've always had the look of keen intelligence in your eyes. It's unfortunate what these ailments that have plagued you since you've returned from the wall.
They've kept the line of ships together so that none of the fishermen can leave and spread the tales further. I hope that Father returns from his hunting trip to tell us what to do. I think we all fear of doing something he disapproves of.
The timing couldn't have been any better for keeping information out. Even if these ships were to pass the blockade, or if the blockade were to disappear, Brendan, then the news that the realm is all aflutter about, all excited about, or in mourning about, is the death of the Hand. So news of Wood Tower, the blockade of Wood Tower and Shore Point of House Rain is almost negligible in the grand scheme of things.
Seems like Father has planned accordingly, or at least the hand of fate is played to his favor. That is good.
I will tell you this. Your father spoke to your mother before all these plans were made.
I haven't seen her yet in a while.
Well, you know what the people say about your mother.
Yes.
There are rumors that she is a witch, that she can pull at the strands of fate.
I've always kind of thought there was something else about her. Something one could not quite touch.
Yeah.
Perhaps she is the reason for all of my frailties.
He nods to you as you're now in front of your room, and he sees that guard that Marcus would have seen, but this is like, you're at the opposite end of the hallway, so to speak. There's like a brief little L in the hallway, and this guy's like at the point of the L, so you can see this guard, and he kind of glances at you and gives you like a respectful nod, and the maester takes a step back from you. He says, "Get some sleep, my good friend."
I shall. Hopefully it will be dreamless.
If these dreams persist, I do have a remedy that will put you to sleep. It will put you to sleep soundly.
Dream wine, perhaps?
And he gives you a nod. If that's not that, then milk of the poppy. It'll numb you a little, but you won't be restless, that's for certain.
Perhaps I'll take you up on that offer on the morrow, but tonight I will try to rest naturally.
He gives you a nod, and then he steps in and gives you like a hug, like a friendly hug.
Thank you, Tasilda.
Pats you on the back. He's after he steps back, says, "All right, get your rest," and he walks off.
All right, I'll just head into my room and just crash into bed.
All right, let's stop it there because it's 4:30.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to mention that I was planning on attempting to deflower the girl.
Okay. All right.
We don't need to roleplay that really. I was just going to mention that after she went away from from kissing me, I would have caressed her and then kissed her again and then on her neck and that sort of stuff.
Well, she is in a moment of vulnerability, so it's all within reason. So if you want to do that, it happens.
I guess I'm not trying to be forceful enough to make it like date rape or anything like that, but I'm definitely in the driver's seat, and it's like I'm trying to keep her kind of hush so that the guard outside, well, it's not like it's a secret or anything like oh, we must keep this secret or something, but still I don't want her waking up the whole chief with
her persistent moans.
Yeah.
No, she's very passive, and as it gets to that point, you see her eyes would have widened, but she wouldn't have resisted. She wouldn't have put her arms up or anything like that. For a second, you might think like, oh my God, is she like terrified or anything like that? Like you do get the sense that she would be, but as you start to think like maybe like thinking about second guessing yourself, she does give you this like slow like nod to go through with it, and it would be her first time, so not as experienced as you are most likely. She just kind of lays there with her like arms on your what would be it would be like on your elbows, just kind of holding you there. She's on her back as the whole process happens. And
Yeah, even though I'm mainly motivated by non-pure motives, it's mostly political, behind the curtain, wheeling and dealing, this whole thing. But still, it's like, once that's sealed, then I can think more about, about it from the angle of, more pure, type of motives and that sort of thing. But still, it at this point, it's for Marcus, it's still about basically sealing the deal, making it so that if marriage would be, something that would be thrown out there, it wouldn't be a stretch, and she might be for it,
Okay, just roll me a die, please. And I'll roll a die, and if our numbers match, a miracle of nature has happened. I rolled a 6.
Oh man, let's see. Ha! 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 We don't have a camera, but it's a 6.
Okay. Well, little do you know, but somewhere out there is a magical stork, which will arrive in 9 months' time.
Marcus is gonna have his own little bastard if he doesn't get her to marry him.
Yeah. Okay, so let's end it there.
I originally thought you meant like she falls for me or something like that.
No.
God damn.
All right. For experience.
Was it 30 that's required to raise a ability?
I think it is 30 to get a destiny, a quality. Oh. So let me. I don't think it's 30 to raise an ability, but let me just double check.
Yeah, because my perception, my persuasion is 2, and I desperately that should be higher based on the stuff I've been doing.
Oh yeah, you're definitely gonna. You've been sort of the voice of the group. Of course, I guess that's what Rahir's character is too.
Yeah, it's
more so.
Yeah, but that's something I kind of dread a little bit. Like, of course I'm gonna love it, but I hope whenever somebody's playing the air, I always hope that the other people get as much screen time type of thing. Even though I'd make the air makes most of the decisions having to do with the direction of the household and that sort of stuff. So.
Well, I have all these trippy visions and dreams and nightmares and stuff. So
yeah,
and I'm having a good time with that.
Yeah, good.
Good. You enjoyed your foray north of the wall for a brief second?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't even know how to really take that.
Good. I like that you don't know how to take it, because I have planned things well in advance for you, my friend.
Next time, once you wake up naked, covered in blood, then it's going to be
yeah, with like a deer in the bed, jugular rip. Oh, I can't find the sheet. Where is it? Experience. It just tells me for page 52. Alright, I'll just quickly skim through it. Pacing, spending, experience is what I need. Reference tables. Maybe that will tell me.
So I think this is the third session. I think.
Third session? Okay.
Yeah, so we should have 12 XP.
12, yeah.
I guess for me and you.
Okay. Acquire or improve specialty, 10 experience. Improve ability. Oh shit! 30 experience. Gain Destiny point 50 experience.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
it's
It
not
is-
cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, I should be awarding more experience. I think probably then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we both got 12 at this point.
Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna increase that because I think last time we played, you guys ended up maybe upgrading one attribute for the entire game.
Yeah, I think that's.
After you saved all your experience points.
I think I might have bought
was-
like one specialty and
So,
one.
yeah,
Yeah,
stat.
I was anxious about that, so I spent all the time now in special.
Okay, so let's say, okay, you have 12. Let's pretend I gave everybody 6 for every session that you guys were in.
So we're up to 18.
So let's boost you guys up to 18.
Okay.
And I'll boost roll here up to 12. So we'll keep that in mind because, yeah, looking at it, 50 experience points. You should never get there at this point.
Yeah. And I was like, in the very first session when Tim burned one of his destiny points, I was like, oh man, like there's no way Zig would have your character's throat slashed in the first session. So your character doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, it is the Game of Thrones though, so
Yeah.
you never know.
Well, in this game when I roll, if I roll and I get something, I know you guys can always burn your destiny points. So if I suddenly hit you with like, you know, a great axe damage of like 53, that would just kill anybody. You can always tell me I use a destiny point to not die.
Yeah, and actually I was like, from the moment I created the character, I was hoping I would get a moment where I could just get through a diplomatic situation with basically just using a wrestling promo and probably having to fight some proxy champion or something like that. So,
Oh yes,
so yeah, I was prepared for that.
yes. Things are planned, but this chapter I had to remove Dad from the equation. He was supposed to show up, but I don't want to introduce Dad without Rock here.
Yeah,
so,
he definitely wants to be here for that.
So
Yeah.
it's good that you left. That you guys decided to leave the household because I was like looking at what I have, and I was like, oh man, they might get bored hanging around the house waiting for diplomats to arrive. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you guys took the initiative and wandered off because you guys can really do whatever the hell you want in the house.
Yeah, it's even though I'm guessing if Rogera was here, you know, and even if he was here in the only for the duration of him just declaring what he does or something, I guess he would have wanted to do a couple of things when he was in charge of Bearhold, but then again, it was only a couple of days.
Yeah, I'll send him a message seeing what he was doing for the 3-ish days that you guys weren't there. So I'll have like a point based kind of conversation with him.
So is the tentative date the 14th then of September?
Let's do it.
Okay.
I noticed that a lot of times in this, especially in this campaign thus far, I've had trouble keeping up the lingo of the time. You know, it's or the setting. It's like a lot of times I'm saying like things that are fairly modern.
That's okay.
I actually messed up the one time. I said, "Oh yeah, it's been a couple winters I've spent here." And I'm like, "No, no, that's a really dumb mistake, Tim. You're only
It's been one
17,
long
you know."
summer.
Yeah, I think I've slipped, goddams and that sort of, stuff.
Well, you can pull off the winter thing because you guys are in the north and sometimes it would snow.
I guess that's true.
But
Yeah, summer snows.
yeah.
All right, guys, I gotta get some stuff cleaned and maybe cook something for dinner. So.
Oh, man, take it easy.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Yeah. See you guys.